Greetings, friends. Welcome back to the broadcast. I'm Shawn. Website can be found at scriptureandprophecy.com. That's where you go to find the archives, and that's where you go to support this mission of truth. Today, we are looking to start our week with some wisdom and some encouragement from the Psalms, from the book of Ecclesiastes, and from the wisdom of Solomon. We're ready for Psalm 40 this morning, Ecclesiastes chapter 7, and Wisdom 8. Psalm 40 is a psalm of David, and it's a reminder that it can be difficult at times to wait patiently on the Lord, especially during a season where you find yourself in a pit of despair, and you have to trust in God. And trust that the Lord has your best interest at heart. And trust that He is going to deliver. And that's really what this psalm is about. You'll also notice that it is also has some verses that speak clearly about Messiah. You'll recognize some of those, I'm sure. So, with that, let's begin. I don't have a lot of intent to do much commentary this morning. I pray that the Word of God will just go forth and pierce your hearts and cause you to draw closer to Him. Psalm 40, King James Bible. Verse 1. I waited patiently for the Lord, and He inclined unto me and heard my cry. He brought me up also out of a horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my goings. And He hath put a new song in my mouth, even praise unto our God. Many shall see it, and fear, and shall trust in the Lord. Blessed is that man that maketh the Lord his trust, and respecteth not the proud, nor such as turn aside to lies. Many, O Lord my God, are thy wonderful works, which thou hast done, and thy thoughts, which are to usward, they cannot be reckoned up in order unto thee. If I would declare and speak of them, they are more that can be numbered. Sacrifice and offerings thou didst not desire. Mine ears hast thou opened, burnt offering and sin offering hast thou not required. Then said I, Lo, I come, and the volume of the book is written of me. I delight to do thy will, O my God. Yea, thy law is written. Thy law is within my heart. I have preached righteousness in the great congregation. Lo, I have not refrained my lips. O Lord, thou knowest. I have not hid thy righteousness within my heart. I have declared thy faithfulness and thy salvation. I have not concealed thy loving kindness and thy truth from the great congregation. Withhold not thou thy tender mercies from me, O Lord. Let thy loving kindness and thy truth continually preserve me. For innumerable evils have compassed me about. My iniquities have taken hold upon me, so that I am not able to look up. They are more than the hairs of mine head. Therefore my heart faileth me. Be pleased, O Lord, to deliver me. O Lord, make haste to help me. Let them be ashamed and confounded together that seek after my soul to destroy it. Let them be driven backward and put to shame that wish me evil. Let them be desolate for a reward of their shame. That they say unto me, Aha, aha. Let all those that seek thee rejoice and be glad in thee. Let such as love thy salvation say continually, The Lord be magnified. But I am poor and needy, yet the Lord thinketh upon me. Thou art my help and my deliverer. Make no tarrying, O my God. And that, my friends, is Psalm 40. I'm sure you caught the Messiah reference there. Verse 7, he says, Then I said, Lo, I come, and the volume of the book is written of me. I delight to do thy will, O my God, yea, thy law is within my heart. Let's continue on. The book of Ecclesiastes. A reminder that everything is vain, right? Let's have a look. Ecclesiastes chapter 7. Verse 1. A good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of one's birth. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance the heart is made better. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of the fool is in the house of mirth. It is better to hear the rebuke of a wise than for a man to hear a song of fools. For as the crackling of thorns under a pot, so is the laughter of the fool. This also is vanity. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. And the patent is in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. Be not hasty in thy spirit to be angry, for anger resteth in the bosom of fools. Say not thou, What is the cause that the former days were better than these? For thou dost not inquire wisely concerning this. Wisdom is good, with an inheritance, and by it there is profit to them that see the sun. For wisdom is a defense, and money is a defense, but the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom giveth life to them that have it. Consider the work of God, for who can make that straight which he hath made crooked? In the day of prosperity be joyful, but in the day of adversity consider. God also hath set the one over against the other, to the end that man should find nothing after him. All things I have seen in the days of my vanity. There is a just man that perisheth in his righteousness, and there is a wicked man that prolongeth his life in his wickedness. Be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself? Be not over much wicked, neither be thou foolish. Why should thou die before thy time? It is good that thou shouldest take hold of this, yea, also from this withdraw not thy hand, for he that feareth God shall come forth of them all. Wisdom strengtheneth the wise more than 10 mighty men which are in the city. There is not a just man upon the earth that doeth good, and sinneth not. Also take no heed unto all thy words that are spoken, lest thou hear thy servant curse thee. For oftentimes also thy own heart knoweth that thou thyself likewise hast cursed others. All this I have proved by wisdom. I said, I will be wise, but it was far from me. That which is far off and exceedingly deep, who can find it out? I applied my heart to know and to search and to seek out wisdom and the reason of things, and to know the wickedness of folly, even the foolishness and madness. And I find more bitter than death. The woman, whose heart is in snares and nets, and her hands as bands, whoso pleaseth God shall escape from her, but the sinner shall be taken by her. Behold, this I have found, saith the preacher, counting one by one to find out the account, which yet my soul seeketh, but I find not. 1 man among 1,000 have I found, but a woman among all those I have found not. Lo, this only I have found, that God hath made man upright, but they have sought out many inventions. Okay, I think we're going to have to spend some more time on this. Ecclesiastes chapter 7. And we're just going to have to put off Wisdom chapter 8 for another day. This one is just loaded with hard truth. Let's just start with that first 7 or 8 verses, because here's the thing. Man's ways and God's ways are completely different. And everything, the ways of man and the ways of God are like polar opposites. What we would think would be the way and think would be up is actually down, right? It's kind of like when Jesus says, if you want to be first, you have to be last. And if you want to be greatest in the kingdom of heaven, you have to be kind of the lowest. And Solomon's doing something similar here. He's like, the day of death is better than the day of birth. And that's kind of a wild thought. Like, really? But for the child of God, that's certainly true. Let's just work through Ecclesiastes, kind of line by line, real quick, to wrap up our study for the day, and just kind of absorb this truth into your hearts. Let's start with these first 8 verses here. A good name is better than precious ointment, in the day of death than the day of one's birth. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart. Please note, there's something about when you go through a trial and there's some mourning and there's some hard times and you come out on the other side that produces fruit, that produces change in your life. None of us want this. None of us want this. But if we're to be honest, for many of us, most of us, those were the things that transformed us the most. That also turned us towards God the most. Verse 3, sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance the heart is made better. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of the fools is in the house of mirth. It is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear a song of fools. For the crackling of thorns under a pot, so is the laughter of the fool. This is also vanity. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. And the patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. Again, is it a coincidence that the way things lined up today were about patience? About in the face of difficulty, truly having patience and waiting on God. And the end of a thing is better than the beginning of a thing. Matthew Henry says this. He says, the event of our trials and difficulties is often better than at first we thought. Surely it is better to be patient in spirit than to be proud and hasty. Be not soon angry, nor quick in resenting an affront. Be not long angry. Though anger may come into the bosom of a wise man, it passes through as if it was a wayfaring man. It dwells only in the bosom of fools. It is a folly to cry out upon the badness of our times, when we have more reason to cry out for the badness of our own hearts. And even in these times, we enjoy many mercies. It is a folly to cry up the goodness of former times, as if former ages had not the like things to complain of that we have. This arises from discontent and the aptness to quarrel with God Himself. I may come back to that last sentence here in a second. Let me continue on with our line by line. So better is the end of a thing than the beginning. Verse 9, be not hasty in thy spirit to be angry, for anger resteth in the bosom of fools. Say not thou, what is the cause of the former days that were better than these? For thou dost not inquire wisely concerning this. That's what Matthew Henry is referring to. The scriptures are telling you that it's foolish to be like, times are so much better in my life 10 years ago. Or to long after the old times or the old ways. Sometimes, if we're honest, we make the grievous sin of longing for the times or former times when we weren't even walking in the faith, but we were having a good time, right? Running around, living in sin, embracing this. Jesus says if you put your hand to the plow and look back, you're not worthy of me. Let me read that sentence from Matthew Henry again. He says, it is a folly to cry up the goodness of former times as if former ages had not the like things to complain of that we have. In other words, it's like you're romanticizing that time. You're forgetting all the problems that you had in those moments and how you used to pray, God, please get me out of this situation. And now he's gotten you to this point in your life and you're like longing for that time. How foolish. This arises from discontent and an aptness to quarrel with God himself. Lord, have mercy on us all. Wisdom is good with an inheritance, and by it there is profit to them that see the sun. For wisdom is a defense, and money is a defense, but the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom giveth life to them to have it. Consider the work of God, for who can make that straight which he hath made crooked? I think it's a good place to stop. I hope that this is speaking to your hearts in the way that it's speaking to mine. Let us not be foolish as to quarrel with God himself by crying up the goodness of former times, forgetting that you had similar problems then. One of the most grievous sins that I struggle with in my own life is discontentment. May God give us all a spirit of contentment and of patience, waiting on him. Let us not try to make a path straight that God has made crooked, and vice versa. May we have an attitude that says, thy will be done. And actually mean it. May we be like Mary, the Virgin Mother of Jesus, who said, when she heard what her destiny was going to be, she said, let it be done to me as you have said. May we all have that type of obedience in our life. Peace and grace be with all of you. And until next time, God bless.